Welcome to the Start Something Show. Join world-renowned experts, change agents, and everyday folks who have done the amazing. All here to help you start something incredible. Now it's time to step out, live your perfect day, and create a legacy with your host, Tina Dietz.
Hey Superstarters, it's Tina Dietz here with another episode of the Start Something Show. So what are you starting? What are you up to? Are you starting something totally from scratch, totally new? Or are you transitioning? Are you in a stage of growth? Are you debating on where to go next? You know, that's what this show is all about, to give you inspiration, to give you techniques, to give you tools, to give you the tools to fight the good fight. So you know what? I want to know what you're up to. Get your butt over to thestartsomethingshow.com, go to the contact us page, and you know what? Let me have it. Dump it all out. What are you up to? What do you need? What do you want? Where are you stuck? You know? Consider me your dear Abby of solopreneurdom. Or maybe it's not business that you're dealing with a transition around. Maybe it's relationship. Maybe it's parenting. Maybe it's work. Like regular work, like 9-to-5 work. You know? Hey, these tools work, these transition opportunities, let's call it, even though sometimes they don't feel like opportunities. Same set of tools applies. You know, that's why we have systems to deal with this kind of stuff, because what works just works. And that's why on the website you'll see my game board there, because I like to think of things as a game. Otherwise we get way too serious. Way too serious. You got to build your vision, create a plan, build a team, build a tribe, create some systems to help you out, build your muscle. Not really a whole lot different than learning a sport or learning a new skill. It only falls into the same type of category. You're building muscles, even if they don't look like biceps or triceps or, you know, abs. Maybe you could develop like a transition six-pack. You get really good at creating change, and you're like, oh, my transitions are so ripped. Yeah. Oh, God. Oh, what are you going to do with me, huh? Well, listen to me. That's what you're going to do. Get yourself over to thestartsomethingshow.com. Shoot us an email. Let us know what you're up to. It helps us create better content for the show, and we'll probably be able to help you out. You know, if we can't help you, then we probably know people that do. After all, I'm Italian by birth. I know a guy. So speaking of knowing a guy, I'm going to share with you our tech tip of the month this month. Oh, I should probably tell you who's on the show today. Duh. It is Mr. David Cohen. David, what a delightful man. David's from Toronto, Ontario, and he is the boomer business coach. David's been doing business coaching for a long time, and even longer than he's been doing coaching, he's been in the sales world. He's got some really nice flow, some really nice training tools in overcoming sales crap that we all deal with. We all deal with our stuff about how to sell stuff. And, you know, a lot of times you can't just sit behind a computer and get that kind of thing done. You have to do face-to-face. You need to do proposals, depending on your business model, right? You need to interact with people and be able to offer them stuff for sale and deal with that. So great conversation with David. He's a great guy, such a sweetheart. It helps that he adores me. I like that a lot. So we're going to talk with him in a little bit. But back to our tech tip of the month. This is something I don't know that I could live without at this point. I love books. I love books. I've always loved books. If I'm not reading a fiction book, I don't really feel whole. It's something that I've done since I was a very young child, constantly reading. Not so much nonfiction. Fiction. I like fiction. But regardless of what you like to read, you got to check this out. It is the Overdrive app. So if you don't have this already, if you don't know what it is, basically, the Overdrive app allows you on your Mac, your PC, your Kindle, your Nook, your iPod, your iPad, it doesn't matter which device. It's kind of a universal app that allows you to take out ebooks, audiobooks, and videos from your local library. And there are an endless number of libraries that are participating with the Overdrive app. This is a free app. I cannot live without it. I would not have survived doing all the international travel that I did without this app because I wouldn't have had access to books. I wouldn't have had access to bookstores. And it also has really helped me travel light. Very, very important. So here's the website. It's a free app. Go to app.overdrive.com. Check it out, or you can go to whatever app store you have on your phone, download it on your phone, and follow the bouncing ball, follow the directions, and get to taking out books and audiobooks and videos from your local library. Sometimes you could even find more than one library that you have access to. Websites like Gutenberg.org that do public access books and downloads also participate with Overdrive. So if you're a bookworm like me, or you want to be, or even if you like to listen to audiobooks, which you might like to do because you're listening to a podcast, go to app.overdrive.com. That is our tech tip of the week. And as always, you can go to thestartsomethingshow.com. Can you tell I want you to go to the website? I want you to go to the website. Go to the website. Sign up to be a free member. Look at the cool stuff. Download the cool stuff, okay? Oh, yes. Shameless, they call me. And go to the Contact Us page. Nominate an app. Nominate a tech tip of the month. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you're using. And if we say nice things about your tech tip, we'll also say nice things about you. And honestly, who doesn't like nice things being said about them? It's better than the alternative, right? Better than a sharp stick in the eye. All right, let's go talk to David Cohen. Cool. Today on the Start Something Show, I am welcoming David Cohen. David is an author, a business coach and facilitator, and was the former host and producer of the Small Business Big Ideas show, which was one of the first shows I was ever on. And that show was heard weekly on a couple of different stations for over 9 years. And you could hear folks like Stephen Covey, the late great Stephen Covey, and Jack Canfield on that show. It was a wonderful show. He's also the author of Bust Out, Ignite Your Inner Entrepreneur. David has taught thousands of people over the years, both in the nonprofit and the profit sectors, particularly folks who are getting started and really gaining their sea legs, as it were, in the entrepreneurial world. And you can connect with David at theboomerbusinesscoach.com. David, thank you for starting something with me today.
It's nice to start something with you
today. Well, I am an instigator. It's what I do.
Well, someone has to be. You ever have get in any trouble instigating things?
Now, wait a minute. This is my interview. I'm interviewing you, so I'm going to take the fifth on that one. No,
all right, smart move.
Yeah. Well, although anybody who knows me is laughing right now because they know I'm in trouble many times.
It's like Schultz from Hogan's Heroes. I know nothing.
I know nothing. Exactly. Yeah. Cool. Well, you know what? Let's talk a little bit about your journey. When did you decide to change your life and start something? What was the trigger for you?
Oh, it was a divorce.
Well, that's pretty clear. Okay.
Yeah. And then subsequent to that, I ended up at Landmark doing the forum in the mid to late 90s, and got introduced to this notion of coaching and speaking. And I went, oh my God, when I was sitting in Landmark, I went, I want to do that. I want to be a speaker in front of the room.
For those of you who don't know out there, Landmark Education is an multi-international education company that teaches work in the transformational realm, ontological realm of education. So, keep going, David.
Yeah, it was, developed by Warner Earhart and literally changes people's lives, and relationships and whatnot. So I ended up in the chair at Landmark doing the forum, and then I did the advanced course and SELP, and then I coached in the SELP program in the late 90s, and I went, this is for me. This is really what I wanted to do. And I got out of a career I was in for 12 years of selling promotional products to companies and did really well. But after the marriage broke up, your whole life is rocked and started to really lose the edge quite dramatically, actually. And so in 1999, 2000, I went to the Adler School for Coaching, got my first coaching gig with a government training program, helping startups. Got my also a coaching gig and a training gig in 1999 and 2000, and just sort of chipped away at it and never looked back. So that was a life change, and it's like I look back on it now and I go, man, I had nothing left to lose. And there's that song, freedom is. Mm-hmm. How does it go? Freedom is when you've got nothing left to lose. And,
exactly.
And at that point I didn't, and I thought, well, I'm going to do work I love, and I really like this notion of teaching and coaching and inspiring others. So yeah, that was it.
That's awesome. Now, what have been some of, you've been doing this for a long time, and then you're up in the Toronto area, but I know you've done work in many, many places. So what are some of the high points? What are some of your favorite moments that you've had over the years, or favorite clients?
I think my favorite moment was I got to speak in Dallas at the ASI trade show. That was a highlight.
What is ASI?
ASI is the American Institute of Specialty Advertising.
Okay.
So that was the industry I was in, and I actually left the selling end of things and went into the training and development end of things. And that was a real joy to be down there in Dallas. The night before, I was at the Dallas Mavericks Miami Heat game, and just I couldn't believe my luck being there. And then the morning I spoke, I used the gym at the hotel, and sitting beside me was Kato Kalin from the O.J. Simpson fame. And
wow! Okay.
I so wanted to ask him. So did he do it?
That's terrible. Oh,
I know,
man.
but it's
poor
like,
guy.
I know, but you can imagine. Like, I had to restrain myself. So that was a highlight. The other highlight, a number of highlights. One of the other highlights was finally getting a chance to interview the late Dr. Stephen Covey. The reason it was a highlight is because it took me 2 years to get him, and I stayed with it. And when I got him, I was just like over the moon. It was like, I can't believe I'm interviewing this guy,
Oh, yeah, that definitely. Yeah, he was kind of famously very, very selective about the radio and things that he did, just because, highly influential people like himself that really guard their time. So that's amazing that you had him on the show.
Yeah, and how he did it, and it's funny you allude to that, because what he does is he says, okay, everybody in the media, he just come out with a new book, and it was The Seventh Habit. And he said, everybody in the media wants an interview. I'm going to be doing interviews on Thursday, I think it was like December, 16th, and here's your time. And you either be there or you're not, right? You either do it or you don't. So I had to go in, especially to the radio station in the middle of the week, to be there, and we did a quick 15-minute interview. But it was great. It was just unbelievable.
Oh, that's fabulous. He did a kind of like a media roundup. That's cool.
Yeah, exactly.
That's very cool.
Good use of time, too, right?
Yeah, excellent use of time. We could definitely all take a page from that book. I mean, always nice to see an expert walk his talk when they're talking about, being highly effective.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
Just, being, I was a guest speaker at a women's only networking luncheon event with 130 women.
You were the token male. Oh my goodness.
Was.
Yes.
I know.
You were invited into the inner sanctum.
Yeah.
As it were. Very cool.
It was great.
Very, very cool.
No problem getting a washroom this time.
Very nice. Very nice. Oh, men never do. What are you talking about? Come on. No problem there. Now, your book, Bust Out, Ignite Your Inner Entrepreneur, I know that was a big dream of yours to publish a book. And what prompted you to go ahead and write a book about being an entrepreneur?
It's what I know. It's personal to me. I think I see myself in my path as a real guide and a support for other entrepreneurs. And so I love to write. I do write continuously on LinkedIn. I'm up to, I think, 56 articles for 56 weeks in a row. And I compiled all my writing, and I compiled it into a book. And I just, really, as I said, with my work and my mission is really to help people launch a business, and if they're in it, to stay successful and happy in it. So that's what compelled me.
Yeah. And you tend to work most with startups or this the boomer generation. Now, what made you choose boomers as a group to focus on helping the most?
Again, that was also born out of, a life-altering circumstance. It was 4 years ago in May. I got called in to meet my manager and the executive director, and I went, well, this can't be good, right? It's either I'm getting the raise I've always wanted or I'm getting, let go. And it was getting let go. 6 of us were let go that day. The funder, the government agency, cut our contract and cut funding, and they had to let 6 of us go in the department. And I was running an entrepreneur training program for newcomers to Canada with an agency, a social service agency here in the GTA, and I was one of the ones they let go. So I had a month to finish off my contract, and in that month, I finished up my work and I got to look for jobs. So I was on March the 1st. On March 16th, my mom passed away. She was 86 and had a really bad case of Alzheimer's. And she succumbed to pneumonia. And then a few days later, my brother-in-law, a seemingly healthy guy, a doctor even, had a heart attack and quadruple bypass surgery. He survived it, thank God. And I thought, and at the end of the month, after my work finished, I started to reflect. And I'm going, oh my God, what a month, It's like I picked a bad time to give up amphetamines, So
yeah, really.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, just kind of reflecting and researching and thinking, okay, well, what's next after this month, like a vacation? And in my research, Tina, I was kind of looking at, where I was at, my age. I think I just turned 50. And I'm thinking, man, I wonder if other boomers are going through stuff like this. So I went on to Google, and I go on to Google News, and I typed in stories about, boomers. And in my research, I was reading a lot about how boomers were going through major transition with older parents, with work, career. There was this notion of encore careers or second careers. We were just coming off the stock market debacle back in 2008, so a lot of boomers in my research were forced to continue to work or do something on their own because they couldn't afford to retire anymore. And then the other piece of research I got was that boomers were the fastest growing group of individuals in the population today opening up businesses. So I went, this really bears having a look. And I further research and talking to people is what really kind of prompted me to change the name of my company from the Technicolor umbrella to the Boomer Business Coach. And the other strategy was I wanted a company name that you'd get, right away. You'd get what I did, and you'd get who I was doing it with. And much to my amazement, I registered the .com and .ca, and I got it. So
very good. Well, what do you think that for, let's see, and the age group for boomers, now that would be, what are they now, 60 to 70?
Actually, a little younger. Actually. Yeah, around 52 to 70, 71.
Okay, 52 to 71. What challenges have you found that boomers have in starting a business and making that transition that maybe, you haven't seen as much with startups with other generational groups?
One of the main challenges is, if they're coming off like a career, Tina, where they've been working for somebody, they don't necessarily have the skill sets like sales or marketing or how to get out there. So they might not have those business skill sets that they really need to succeed. They have ideas, definitely, and they have ideas. They probably have some sort of service or product or something they're good at or that they want to introduce. But I think that to me is a big showstopper, is they don't have the sort of the marketing and sales chops yet.
And do you find that boomers are easier, harder, or the same to impart those skills to than someone, say, in their 40s, 30s, or 20s?
I think they're pretty open. They're pretty open to accepting it. So I find them a lot. They're very responsive, and they're responsive because they're motivated, right? They're motivated learners, and I think if you're a motivated learner, and there's more at stake, right? The house is at stake, their lifestyle, their current lifestyle is at stake. They don't want to really make mistakes if they can help it, because it could, cost them a lot. Whereas somebody younger, like a youth entrepreneur, and I do work with youth as well, a youth entrepreneur might be living at home. There's not as much to risk. So I think boomers are a lot more open, just because there's more to lose.
That's a very good point. Yeah, if you're, have to take care of all of your bills and, can't move back in with mom and dad, or, you've got, retirement is coming up fast, then that's definitely a lot bigger risk to be taking in starting a business. Now, you had said that you worked for the government for some time, and you're in Canada. Here in the U.S., now I know Canada, or Ontario in particular, had a pretty strong entrepreneurial training program for folks who were out of work. And this was something I used to, quite honestly, envy for years, because I was originally from Buffalo, New York, very close to Canada. And in New York and most of the U.S., if you're out of work and you try to become an entrepreneur, you lose your benefits, your unemployment benefits. There's really no support for someone who is receiving any kind of benefits to start a business. Everything is geared towards just get another job. So I was very envious of some of these programs in Canada. Those programs still exist, or have they gone by the wayside too?
They just got cut in May. Right before the long weekend, the province announced that the self-employment benefit program, which you're referring to, will be no more, that the last intake will be the current one, and there will be no new intakes.
That's very sad.
It is sad. Now, there's talk that there's going to be something to replace it. It won't be as sweet as that program. That program is amazing. But there will be something to replace it, hopefully, by next April or May. But nothing has been announced, and there's no. Now you're right, in Canada too, or Ontario too. If you're on Ontario for sure, if you're on unemployment insurance and you want to start a business, you're on your own, man. Like, that's it.
Yeah, it seems to be a big disconnect with the way, and I want to hear your opinion on this. The whole world is moving towards people being freelancers, opening their own businesses, doing contracts, companies not wanting to hire full-time employees. But yet, the message that government is sending, or even social service agencies, is, well, you're on your own if you want to do that. What are some of your thoughts from being kind of inside that system?
Well, and I am inside that system a lot. It is pretty sad. There's not a lot of as much help for entrepreneurs as there was. Still, we are blessed in the province to have what's called these SBECs, which stand for Small Business Enterprise Centers, where you can go for some training programs and some counseling or guidance. However, the challenge with that is there's limited staff, and they don't have a lot of time, and the budgets are really, really tight and thin. So
that sounds very similar to the Small Business Administration here in the U.S., which, for those of you not familiar with the Small Business Administration, and what's the one called in Canada?
SBECs, Small Business Enterprise Centers.
Small Business Enterprise Center. So for those of you listening who are startups and looking for some additional support, you definitely seek out these organizations. They're good organizations. But similar to what David is saying in Ontario, we run into here in the U.S. as well, which is a lot of it is volunteer run, and it's not necessarily free either. The programs may be lower cost, but they still do classes do cost money.
Yeah.
The classes definitely do cost money.
Here it's hit and miss. Sometimes they'll charge a little bit, like $15, $20, which is doable, and in some cases they're free. What I'm liking though is that the colleges and universities are opening up what's called centers of excellence, or they're part of the One Network, which is like an entrepreneurship network of facilities that are spurring on new growth, new investment in technology and green tech and in social purpose enterprises. So here in downtown Toronto, near the hospital district, we have Mars, which is a center that spurs on new development in science, in medical development, in green tech, and in social purpose enterprise. And they offer training programs. And they're also an incubator as well. So we have a large group of business incubators throughout the province, and that's really exciting. So Ryerson has what's called the Digital Media Zone, or up in the north part of Toronto, in Markham, there's Venture Lab, or in Durham region, where I did a lot of work, there's the Spark Center. So that's really exciting, and there's a lot of money and programming geared towards youth entrepreneurs too.
Yeah, I do see a lot of that as well because of the tech startups. Now, do you find that these programs are open to boomers and folks that might not be in that youth category utilizing their services?
Totally, yes, I really do. As a matter of fact, another center, it's called the Ontario School for Social Enterprise, and they're helping people, launch businesses, but that have an impact on the society that we live in. And they have a new program for older workers. And the other cool place here in the city is, and they've got 3 shared work spaces, and that's the Center for Social Innovation. And they've got we can rent an office space. With the office space, you get access to boardrooms, and that's got a really cool vibe.
That's really handy. That's very cool. Yeah, 3
really cool locations with cafes, and there's a real buzz, Tina, and people are of all ages, mostly younger, mostly like hipsters, but there's a few of the 40, 50 somethings in there as well. So,
hey, why not? Yeah, we can hold our own.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. Now, this is really cool. And, I'm just thinking out loud here, thinking that it would be really amazing to have our listeners write in or post or tweet to us at SS Show, hashtag SS Show, or to me at Tina Dietz. And to you, what's your Twitter handle, David?
It is Biz Boom Buzz.
Biz Boom Buzz.
Or Boom Biz Buzz, something like that. I forget.
Just look you up. And I would love to hear from our listeners if they know of these centers of excellence in their area. Where can you find entrepreneurial assistance in the U.S. or Canada? Where are you finding your training, be it public or private? I think that would be a cool conversation to start in the social media space. That would be really neat. Now, David, the other thing I know about you is that you have a particular love for training sales. Why is that?
Because I had, my whole career's been in sales. Since I was a teenager, where I worked at the shoe store, selling shoes, or or I was in summer jobs in sales, and in radio, I was in the advertising end of things, as opposed to so much as to instead of on air. So I've always been in sales, and I was in commission sales for 12 years prior to this change into what I'm doing now. And my view on sales is there's a few things. There's a few beliefs that I hold near and dear. One is that if you can learn to sell, you'll never work for somebody else again. You will be self-employed and self-directed. So learn how to sell, and I guarantee you'll never work for someone else again. If you do work for somebody and you're in sales, the salespeople usually make the most money in an organization. So
that's true.
That's another really cool thing, right?
Right.
And it's just it's got such a bad rap. Sales is an art. It's a science. It's about really understanding people and what motivates them to buy, and developing relationships, and just being cool, just positioning yourself as a leader and an expert in your field. And I think it's not that sort of slap happy guy at the used car lot patting you on the back with a checkered jacket and white shoes, kicking the tires with you. It's not that at all. It's really about, being an intelligent human being a good study and student of human psychology and motivation and what drives people, and also really being good at listening and asking questions and nurturing those relationships.
Beautiful. And we're going to dig down deeper in the Backstage Pass to talk with David about some specific sales techniques, especially for folks who are not necessarily comfortable with sales. But let's face it, if you want a business, you have to be able to generate sales one way or another. And David's going to share with us some up and up, full of integrity, heart-centered, enthusiastic, wonderful ways to create a sales process that feels good for everybody involved. So make sure you join us on the Backstage Pass for that. But before we head off today, David, thank you, first of all, for coming on the show today. It's always such a pleasure. Yeah.
You're great.
Why, thank you. I appreciate that. I do have one more question for you that I love to ask all of my guests, so everyone listening can kind of walk away with some ideas to take forward into their next week. If you imagine that if you had to start over tomorrow and all the resources that you've built were kind of wiped away, I mean, you had, place to live and food to eat and all that good stuff, but you didn't have all the business that you've built up over the years, just left with your knowledge, what would be some of the first things you would do to start something fresh?
Oh, I always had this idea of selling ties, pantyhose, undergarments, and socks and belts to gyms. And that was born out of necessity because I like to work out at 6:30 in the morning. And when I go to the gym and I shower there and then I change and go to work, I used to forget, like notoriously, socks, my belt, a tie. Yeah, I forgot it, right? And, nothing says fashion statement like a nice navy blue suit, crisp shirt and tie, and white socks. So
sexy.
I know, yeah. I'm telling you. It's the TTC bus driver look. But I'm just saying. But I always thought that would be a really cool idea to launch, to have a little kiosk at all the gyms in case people forget that stuff, to bring it in their gym bag in the morning so they have something to wear. So I'd probably get back into some sort of a product as opposed to a service.
That's really fascinating. And now watch, 6 months from now, we're going to see that launched. You watch.
I know.
I know, right?
Yeah.
All right. Send royalty checks to David Cohen.
Yeah.
Care of the boomerbusinesscoach.com.
Yeah. I don't know. You call it just in case or something.
There you go. All right. Now don't give away the farm here. Okay. So remember to connect with David at theboomerbusinesscoach.com and of course on Twitter and Facebook, and join us for the Backstage Pass. We're going to dig down deeper into the sales process and making it lovely and juicy for everyone involved. David, thank you again for being on the show, and Superstarters, we'll see you next week on the Start Something Show.
What a joy. Thank you, Tina.
Start something with purpose. Start something with freedom. Start something now. Go to thestartsomethingshow.com, join our community of superstarters, and get your perfect day planner pack, a free resource to help you create the life you've dreamed of living. Take action now, and we'll see you for our next exciting episode.